Forgotten War Memorial Spirit Sites, the Whispering Dead of Japan. Across Japan, hidden among dense forests, abandoned hillsides, and isolated valleys, there are war memorials that few people visit anymore. These monuments were built to honor soldiers who never returned home, men whose names slowly faded from public memory as decades passed. Most visitors see only weathered stone, rusted plaques, and overgrown paths. But according to local legends, some of these forgotten memorials hold something far more disturbing than history. They are said to be places where the dead never truly left. One such memorial stands deep within the mountains of rural Japan. The monument was erected shortly after the end of World War II. Villagers gathered stones from nearby rivers and built a towering memorial to honor dozens of young men who had died overseas. For years families visited regularly, leaving flowers, incense, and handwritten letters. Elderly parents prayed for sons who never came home. Wives mourned husbands whose remains were never recovered. Children grew up hearing stories about fathers they would never meet. As the decades passed, however, the village population declined. Young people moved to cities. Elderly residents died. The path leading to the memorial became overgrown with weeds. The once clean stone monument slowly disappeared beneath moss and vines. By the early 1990s, only a handful of people still visited. That was when the stories began. The first reports came from forestry workers clearing nearby trails. Several workers claimed they heard footsteps following them through the woods. Whenever they stopped, the sound stopped as well. When they turned around, nobody was there. One worker reported hearing what sounded like military boots marching in formation somewhere beyond the trees. The rhythmic footsteps continued for several minutes before abruptly vanishing. The men laughed about the incidents at first. They blamed animals, echoes, or imagination. But the stories became harder to dismiss when multiple workers reported the same experiences on different days. One autumn afternoon, a worker named Hiroshi remained near the memorial after sunset. As darkness settled over the forest, he noticed faint voices drifting through the trees. The voices sounded distant and indistinct, as if a group of people were speaking far away. Thinking hikers were nearby, he called out. No response came. The voices continued. Then he realized something unsettling. The voices did not sound modern. He later described them as formal, old-fashioned Japanese expressions rarely used anymore. The conversation seemed fragmented, like several people speaking at once. Suddenly, the voices stopped. The forest became silent. Then came a single command. A sharp military order. The voice was loud, clear, and impossibly close. Hiroshi ran from the forest and refused to return after dark again. Years later, local paranormal enthusiasts became interested in the site. They visited carrying cameras, audio recorders, and electromagnetic sensors. Most found nothing unusual. Yet a small number claimed their equipment captured strange sounds. Several recordings reportedly contained faint whispers. Others allegedly captured what sounded like marching footsteps despite nobody moving nearby. One investigator described an especially disturbing experience. Shortly before midnight, he approached the memorial alone. The forest was completely still. No wind moved through the trees. As he stood before the monument, he noticed a figure standing several meters away. The silhouette appeared to be a man. He wore what looked like an old military uniform. The investigator assumed another visitor had arrived. He raised his flashlight and called out. The figure vanished. Not stepped away. Not hidden behind a tree. Gone. The flashlight illuminated only empty forest. The investigator left immediately. Local folklore surrounding forgotten war memorials extends beyond this single location. Throughout Japan there are stories of unexplained lights appearing near monuments dedicated to fallen soldiers. Witnesses describe glowing spheres drifting among trees before disappearing into darkness. Some believe these lights represent wandering souls searching for home. Others think they are natural phenomena misunderstood by observers. One particularly chilling tale involves a neglected memorial overlooking a remote valley. During the 1970s, a caretaker regularly cleaned the monument and maintained the surrounding grounds. Every year on the anniversary of a major wartime battle, he claimed to hear distant singing. The song was always the same. It sounded like a military marching tune. The melody drifted through the night air despite there being no houses nearby. Curious, the caretaker attempted several times to locate the source. Each time the singing seemed to move farther away. No matter how far he followed it, he never found anyone. Eventually he stopped trying. He simply listened from a distance. The singing reportedly continued for nearly 20 years. Another legend tells of a memorial built for soldiers whose bodies were never recovered. Villagers believed the spirits remained restless because their remains had never returned home. Visitors occasionally reported seeing shadowy figures standing beside the monument at dusk. Witnesses described the apparitions as motionless silhouettes staring toward the horizon. One elderly resident claimed he encountered such a figure while walking home one evening. At first he assumed it was another villager. Then he noticed something impossible. The figure cast no shadow despite the setting sun. The old man approached cautiously. The figure slowly turned its head. Its face appeared completely dark. The witness fled and never returned to the site alone. Whether these stories are true remains impossible to verify. Skeptics point to natural explanations. Forests produce strange sounds. Human memory is unreliable. Darkness can transform ordinary objects into frightening shapes. Yet many locals continue to avoid these forgotten memorials after sunset. They believe some places absorb the emotions of those who once gathered there. Grief, loss, regret, longing. Decades of sorrow etched into stone and soil. Perhaps the spirits reported near these monuments are merely legends born from tragedy. Or perhaps the countless soldiers who never returned home still linger near the memorials built to remember them. Waiting. Watching. Listening. And when night falls over the silent forests of Japan, some visitors swear they can still hear the distant sound of marching boots approaching from the darkness.